Thank you very much, Oireachtas. My question refers to the tragic death of Shane O'Farrell in County Monaghan following a hit-and-run accident in August 2011. I have often listened to Lucia O'Farrell, Shane's mother, outline in great detail and with great clarity the dysfunctionality of so many elements of the criminal justice system that led to Shane's tragic death. A scoping exercise was established by a previous Minister for Justice a considerable length of time ago. We need this public inquiry process to be progressed as soon as possible. Thank you, Oireachtas.
Thanks, Deputy Minister.
Deputy, thanks again for raising this issue, and I wish to assure the Deputy that I also, as I know others in this House do, recognise the ongoing pain and the anguish of the O'Farrell family on the tragic death of Shane, and I once again deeply sympathise with them on their loss. As the Deputy will be aware, a highly respected retired judge, Gerard Houghton, has been conducting a scoping exercise into the tragic circumstances surrounding Shane O'Farrell's death. The purpose of this exercise is to advise as to whether any further investigation or inquiry beyond those already carried out is necessary, and if so, to advise on the form of such investigation or inquiry and its terms of reference. Judge Houghton furnished an interim report to the Minister for Justice in November 2019, in which he stated that he would not restrict or limit Shane's family in their submissions to him or the nature and extent of the documentation that they wish to furnish to him in his scoping exercise. As the Deputy will appreciate, the Judge is completely independent in conducting this scoping exercise. It is not open to me as Minister to comment on any aspect of the Judge's work or the process of compiling the final report. My department maintains regular contact with the Judge and has assured him that any assistance he requires to complete his final report will be made available. While I genuinely regret that this process has taken significantly longer than any of us would wish, I am also aware that the Judge is doing all that he can to ensure that the concerns which the family have raised with him during the process are followed through to the greatest extent possible. I understand that Judge Houghton has been in contact with the O'Farrell family throughout this scoping exercise. I am informed the process is now at the stage of seeking comments on various sections of the report from the parties named in it, including my department. I also understand that Judge Houghton has been in touch with the O'Farrell family regarding this matter.
Thank you, Alas Cancora. Thank you, Minister, for your reply. Minister, my question is with the background that in 14th of June 2018 we all voted in the Dáil at that time, calling on the government to establish a public inquiry. As we all know in this House, the O'Farrell family has worked tirelessly seeking to get justice for their only son and brother. The state failed them in the manner in which the death of Shane was investigated. The state failed them in the manner in which the death of Shane was prosecuted. The state failed them in the manner in which their complaints around the investigation and prosecution was handled by GSOC. Justice has to be done in relation to this exceptionally good young man who was killed by a driver who shouldn't have been at liberty at the time. At that time, the person who was driving that car he had 42 previous convictions. The driver of the car was on bail in respect of several offences. He had breached the conditions of those bail bonds, and he was serving suspended sentences which should have been activated had the courts been informed of his convictions. It's a litany of dysfunctionality and a terrible injustice to a fine young Monaghan man. Thank you, Cancora.
Thank you, Deputy, and thank you for the work that you've done on this as well. It is, of course, open to the Judge to recommend the establishment of a statutory or non-statutory inquiry. I will await the recommendation of Judge Houghton in his final report before making any decision in relation to further inquiries into this matter. I do not wish to preempt any advices which the Judge considers appropriate in the circumstances following the scoping exercise, and I wish to state in clear terms that the Government is not opposed to the possibility of a further inquiry into this case if that is what the Judge recommends. No restrictions have been placed on him in that regard. Like every deputy in this House, I wish to see questions answered to the satisfaction of the O'Farrell family.
Deputy Smith, we're out of time, but if you want to brief comment while we're
Yeah,
waiting.
I thank the Minister for a reply. And Minister, I'd like to see the scoping exercise completed as soon as possible, and hopefully we will be going on to a necessary public inquiry that I believe is warranted. Thank you, I'd ask Concordia.
Thank you, Minister.